And now it is my pleasure to present to you our Arabian Horse Association President, Cynthia Richardson, for our State of the Association address. Cynthia.
I'm sorry we're laughing, but we just happened to notice that the two guns were pointed at Lance and I. So,
And there's a problem with this.
at least it wasn't pointed at Nancy. So we have there's a future. A little bit of levity there. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Tulsa. It's been a crazy time. We are really appreciative of this hotel. The Marriott in Denver at the Tech Center gave us the notice on August 24th that because they're specially made to order transformers were not going to be available, that they would not be able to service our convention. And our convention is about a mid-sized convention, but for our size of the number of people that we have, we use a lot of meeting rooms. And so there's very few hotels that are able to accommodate our size. And many of those hotels are booked 2 years out. And so lucky for us, the Hyatt here was able to accommodate us on really short notice. And I think we put our hands together and thank these people. If you haven't already, the Marriott Tech Center is part of this move out here to Tulsa. They will credit you with your airline change fees. So if you can give a copy of that to Glenn or to staff, we will make sure that you get reimbursed for those change fees for your airlines for those of you that book so far in advance. So just don't forget to do that. This part, it saddens me to report that the Purebred Arabian Trust, the PAT, has brought litigation against AHA over the ownership of our horse registration system, HRS, the software. In an effort to become more efficient, AHA spent $2.8 million over several years to build the new HRS software as a registration system that can be integrated into a completely modern business system. After the software was paid for and developed entirely by AHA, PAT initiated litigation to assert a 100% ownership claim over the entire HRS software. AHA intends to strongly defend ownership of the assets developed by AHA member money. Rest assured that AHA is strong and continuing to do business as usual. Regardless of the outcome of the litigation, AHA will continue to register Arabian horses. AHA Future State is alive and well. We're a little bit behind. In fact, we're 5 months behind where we thought we would be at this time. It's one of those situations where the deeper you dig, the more you find. And so in order to change over our financial system, we had to really discover exactly what that financial system did. And when Oracle 8i was put into production, it was meant to be a financial system and instead became an operational system. So everything was tied directly into that package. So in order to get out of that package and to be able to upgrade to Multiview, a new system, it amounted to the fact that we've had to unpeel a lot of things and put them in other places and build interfaces for them. Some of the code is very, very old. It's written in BASIC. It's written in, I think there's 4 or 5 different languages. Some of it we don't even have the source code for. So it's been a rather laborious trip to try to get through this. We are going to go live on Multiview on December 1st. You have to, when you do a financial package, you have to start at the first of some month. It's never ideal. AHA is busy throughout the year doing business for all of you. And so, in order to do that, we're going to have to take down the part of the website that is the member side. So our visitors and our opportunity to see our horses will still be there. But to actually do business on AHA's website, we're going to take it down on November 30th and hope to have it up by or before the 6th. So if you've got business that you need to do in advance, please do that. And if you need help, please call the office because there's no other choice. We just have to do it that way because the financials are the core of our business. It touches everything that you members do. So in order to replace that, we've done as much testing as we can in advance. Staff has been just incredible, the hours that they have put in. There's been a number of volunteers that have been involved. So please bear with us. We're doing the best we can for you. But what you will really see as members as a difference is that you will actually receive a true invoice and then you will receive true monthly statements instead of just the combination that the old system had. And when you go to look on it online, if you just run your cursor over where the invoice number is, all the detail will pop up. So you'll know exactly what you're being billed for and exactly what you've paid. So I think you'll see a great improvement there. And then the efficiency this offers our staff is tremendous. And then as we are able to implement other parts, you'll start seeing more and more changes and less of what I would call the old member side of the website, and more of those things will be popping up on the new side. So bear with us. We are making a great deal of progress, but it turned out to be, you know, you try to plan ahead, and as a computer scientist, you estimate how long it's going to take, and you multiply that by 3. And in this case, even multiplying by 3 wasn't long enough. So enough said about that. I do ask that you would go back to all of your members and ask them to make sure that AHA has current email addresses. The process will be, we're trying to get out of the snail mail business and all the cost it takes between staff having to stuff envelopes and then the postage and all of that and the time it takes. So all of those invoices will, once this goes live, will be available on the member page, and you will receive those emails, those statements via email. So it's going to be a quick 24-hour kind of turnover from when you do business. You'll receive the receipts and the invoices, and you'll know exactly what you're doing. But we do need people to update their email addresses. If at any time, for some reason, you opted out of AHA, once you opt out of AHA, you have opted out of everything. So you need to, don't know what the term is, but opt back in. That's the term. Nancy's keeping. Subscribe is a better word. I knew there was a better word. So please do that and let your members know that they need to do that as well. And it's just a way for us to increase our efficiency for our members. It's going to make it a better way to do business. You'll have access to it. But we do need those email addresses. This year's been a good year for AHA for our shows. I always thank the volunteers. AHA actually runs off the back of our volunteers. All of you are sitting here know that very well, that there's no way we could do business without our volunteers. We have an incredible staff, and they work so hard, but just the manpower it takes to run these national shows is because we have so many faithful volunteers, and many of these people come back year after year. So I want to just in advance thank them. Youth Nationals this year went back to Oklahoma City. We started there, we were there for 7 years, and then we moved to Albuquerque. We then have come back to our home, really, for Youth Nationals. After we left, they spent $30 million, and if you were there the old 7 years versus the now, it's in a totally different layout and facility. It's all under one continuous roof. So if there's bad weather, you're not outside, you're not trying to get your horse from a barn way back yonder to the arena. You're safe because you're enclosed. There's the arena that we use for some of the Working Western is across. It's not actually a street because it's within the facility, so it's 20 feet wide. So if you did have to possibly get wet in a rainstorm, it would be 20 feet of wet rather than a half a mile of wet. So, and it's very, very safe. It's totally enclosed, and there's only one way to get in and out. So we felt very much safer for our children and for our people and for our TAC. And so Oklahoma City was a win for us. It was hot. The first 3 days, it was very hot. But however, it was a heat wave across the whole United States. So when I talk to people, I say, well, how hot was it when you left your house? Oh, it was over 100. It's like, okay, it's 98 here. It's hot. The humidity is always an issue. So what's going on for the heat situation is we found out after we got there, there was a couple of ventilation systems that were not quite up to what they should have been. That has been addressed. And the facility is looking into a different type of bigger fan that's what I call a ground fan, so that to push air through the aisleways a little better. So they're looking to do that for us. But it was a great deal of fun, and the competition at youth every year, I've been for I don't know how many years, but every time I go, I'm going, I just can't believe how accomplished our youth are. Some of the classes you watch, I think you could easily challenge the professionals at the nationals, because the youth, they've had their seats in those saddles for a long time, and they do just an amazing job. So if you haven't come to youth, you need to see our kids come. Next comes Canada. This was the first year in a long time we haven't had to deal with VS. And of course, that's always for you all that don't maybe live in that area, it's not a problem. But for all of us that live in the West, VS is a huge detriment to us being able to get to Canada with our horses. So this was the first year that we didn't have to deal with that. They were a man short. Dan Cross had heart surgery, and he's doing very, very well in recovering, but they were actually a man short, and they're not a big commission to start off with. So the commission and Kelsey Berglund put that show on, the four of them plus Kelsey, and then again, many of our volunteers, but they really did step up. On Friday, we have appreciation for military, and everybody wears red shirts, and then we invite from the community. There's a local Army base there, and their members come in and are part of our pictures on the Friday. And so it's a fun way to share and to say thank you both to our Canadian and U.S. troops. Adult showmanship was new this year. It was huge. Brandon continues to try to service what our needs are, and so one of the things they've been working with both their local and federal governments and province governments is to have a new building built. They're looking at it. It would be big enough to hold all of the stalls up there inside and then still be able to have an additional arena. So they're working on that. They've just had a huge changeover in their local governments and in their provincial government. So that's on the list, and they're pushing very hard. They recognize that we are a very big input to their community, and they're doing everything they can. Alan and Gerald have gone to the mayor, and they've been very persistent about giving us some support for coming to Brandon. So Alan was able to tell me yesterday that he had just spoken to the mayor, and they are putting through that opportunity that they can essentially award the people who have been faithful to Brandon and coming back and forth. So I'm thrilled to know that they've been doing that, and I thank both Alan and Gerald for their input on that, because it was an uphill battle. Sport Horse was back in Nampa this year. It's always fun. We have an east-west rotation for anybody that's missed that part. This was actually the first year that in a long, long time, I've only missed 2 Sport Horse Nationals, so this was my second one to miss. I was at the, I went from Central Park directly to the Distance Nationals, but Nancy stepped in for me, so nobody missed me. Sport Horse did in Nampa add back in another day. We're always looking for ways that we can help our exhibitors, and in order to try to cut down on the number of people who had conflicts, we added another day back into the show in Nampa, and that was very successful. Sweepstakes, as you know, made some changes, and one of the things they did was to introduce this year at Sport Horse Nationals a young dressage class. It was very, very successful. People are really looking forward to that next year. It adds value to that sport horses that are nominated. So keep that in mind if you're breeding sport horses. U.S. Nationals, this was our 50th anniversary. It was a huge hit. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of activities going on. We got blessed with probably the best weather I think we've ever had at our U.S. Nationals. There was plenty of horses, plenty of activities. The whole total feel of it was a success. People had fun. There is some controversy over some individuals for the halter ring. We did enforce very stringently this year the halter rules that are passed down to us from USEF, some of those that we initially initiated, and then some of those that are passed down because of abuse rules. So just right up front, there is a group that is looking to take halter away from U.S. Nationals. It's a free country. They can do whatever they want, but we will certainly work to try to negotiate to make sure everything is taken care of to the best of our ability there. This was the first year for the sweepstakes jackpot classes for the amateurs in Western Pleasure, Hunter Pleasure, and Country Pleasure. Those were a huge success. We were hoping, we wanted to have one level of payback, and we exceeded all those. So those 3 classes with the jackpots and with the sweepstakes money paid back a total of $110,500. So it was a great opportunity for our amateurs to participate. It was also the first year that the WPHA came forward with their Western Pleasure essentially futurity that they have. It's similar but not the same as the English Pleasure one that we've had for a number of years now. That was a huge success. There is a group that is putting together the same thing for Hunter Pleasure horses, so look for that coming forward in the future. Tulsa just passed about I don't know, a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they passed another $30 million bill to improve the expo center. So it will mean some more buildings will be enclosed. It'll be general improvements. They came to us first because we are the largest breed show that is there. They came to us and said, what do you guys need? And so we have, of course, always have a wish list. So we have passed that wish list on to them. And that's pretty exciting because they really do go out of their way to work with us, both as a community and a facility, and then also as the city. U.S. Nationals is the home of our judging contest, and our judging contest is rated one of the very top for all of the judging contests in the nation. We have great participation. We have a division for 4-H and FFA, and then we have a division for the Arabians, and then we have, so our club and our regions, and then we have a collegiate division. And so I am blessed with being able to be there in the mornings and go around and shake hands and thank people for being there, and this was an outstanding contest. Hats off to Brenna. I don't know if Brenna's in the room right now, but Brenna Whitlock is our youth and family coordinator. She had past experience with judging teams herself and was competing at the collegiate level, so she knew how to work. Nancy stepped in and helped. There's lots of volunteers that I'm seeing out here, and now that I've started, I probably better not, because I'll forget somebody, but a number of people stepped up. And then the quality of our horses, this is one of our best outreaches that we have to reach the collegiate level and to reach the kids that are in 4-H and FFA, because they normally don't see Arabians. And so when we go around and ask barns to come up with their horses to come, everybody came. They were dressed professionally. The classes were amazing. We put in trail this year to make it a fun, because usually they don't have trail at a youth contest. That was very well received. So hats off to everybody who participated with the youth judging contest. It was a big success. Something that's near and dear to my heart that you all know, that because I was one of those crazy endurance riders, I was able to be at the U.S. Nationals distance rides, and it was held right outside of Tulsa here in Veneta, Oklahoma. Our host this year, it's at the Frank's Farm, and that was Gunnar and Elena, and then her mom actually did all the cooking, and that's Sandy Pitts. And so we had great home-cooked food for all of the meals for all of the crew, and then in the evening we feed the riders and some of their assorted people that they bring along. And then this was the first year we decided, you know, we're always looking for how we can be more successful, and the distance events are really hampered by the fact if you go to U.S. Nationals, you have almost 200 classes. If you go to the national ride, you have, between the half Arabs and the purebreds, I think you have 10 classes. So, well, 6, but you divide them into half.
No, 3 purebreds and 3 half-Arabs.
Okay, I stand corrected. We have 6. Trust Rusty, she's been their staff liaison. Anyway, the point being is, it's very hard to put on a national event and have 6 classes to enter, where you would go to another national event and be able to have income from upwards to 200 classes. So these guys scramble, they come to all of your regions, they ask for support. I hope you will do that, because this is a very hard-working commission. Many of them don't get reimbursed for any of their travel expenses. They come and they stay and camp out. It's a great feeling of community, but they work very, very hard. The ranch, the Franks, are very successful in their own right in riding, and so they know how to mark trails. So we had comments that it was the very best marked trails we've ever had at a national ride. And then we brought in the Appaloosas, because their distance rides, many of the breeds rides, we actually have the biggest distance event. So we decided, you know, in the sense of community, and we're all riding horses, and I'll be quite honest, it offers us the opportunity to showcase our Arabians, because really most people who really want to do long distances come for an Arabian. So we invited the Appaloosas to come. They were wonderful to work with. This is going to go on in the future. And it just so happened that a couple of the Appaloosas, I think it actually was all of them, but at least a couple of them came that were also half Arabians. So they were able to double entry. They could ride in the Appaloosa National Champions, and they could ride in the half Arab National Champions. So it was quite an event, and we had a lot of fun, and I really thank everybody that was involved in that. Paige is their new staff liaison, and I think this was the first time Paige had come to the Nationals. She got great allocates. She was very friendly, very quick to pick up and do anything there was to do, so we thank Paige very, very much, because she really smoothed out some rough edges that we needed and helped a lot for the commissioners to be able to do that. Central Park was wonderful and fun again this year. We had great weather. If you've not been there, you need to come. It's exciting to watch on video, but it's absolutely thrilling to be there in person. It's an opportunity that we had through some connections that we were able to get into this horse show. We are the only breed that is there, so it is our obligation to make sure that people understand that there's other things to do besides hunter jumpers and dressage. So we are there with the Olympic type horses. It's the first time we are held at that level, and we had an absolutely magnificent performances. We started something last year. It was just kind of a little bit happenstance, and then we sort of worked at it, but the Country English Pleasure last year was all amateur ladies to ride. This hit a spot because internationally, not very many amateurs ride at the international level. When you really look at the top level, it's really a professional game. And then in Europe, a lot of them don't even realize that you ride Arabs and that we have disciplines. And so this is watched all over the world. So the amateurs last year in Country English Pleasure had so much fun that this year we decided to keep the costume as just a regular class, because obviously your costume, you don't have two sets of clothes for the people. But then for Country English Pleasure, Western Pleasure, and Hunter Pleasure, we were able to have them pro-ams. The pros rode the first way of the ring, the amateurs the second way of the ring. It made for lots and lots of happy smiles. This is a competition, but it's kind of competition in quotes because it's really an outreach and a demonstration. So whether you got first place or you didn't get first place, everybody had that experience of being able to ride in Central Park. And it's phenomenal in the daytime. It is the most visited park in the world. But at nighttime, when that skylights all come on, it pretty much gives you goosebumps. So if you haven't been to Central Park, you need to come to Central Park with us next year. I want to thank Al Jasmaya Farm. They have been our major sponsors. Without them, we would not have been able to do this. Breeding numbers have slowed. You know, we've had a decline for breeding numbers for a number of years. Last year, in the last 2 years actually, we're starting to level out. When I got the October numbers, we're actually up a little bit, not much, but we're up a little bit, and that's encouraging. I talked to Bill Addis, and he was very encouraging, and he said, Cynthia, we're starting to see a market for the middle-priced horse again. He said people that are brand new and want to get in, they want the horse at least started so that they have something to start with, so they don't feel like they're just getting a horse that has no training at all. But he said, you know, when you look and they track who logs on and who follows their auctions, and he said, you know, the middle-priced horse is once again starting to create a market, which is good news for all of us, because no matter who you are and how talented of a breeder you are, you're breeding for the champion, but your chances of getting that champion, they don't come along too often. So you've got to have a market for the rest of these horses. So knowing that, I think, is a great advantage to all of us. One of the things we've talked about is there's lots of competition for the ideal horse, and I've talked a lot to you over the last 4 years about building a market share. And we're looking at, there's many reasons that there aren't as many horses around. You know, we've talked about this all before, the land, the opportunity, the cost of owning horses. But I think these stats are kind of interesting to know. In the United States last year, there was 3 million people who skied. There was 23 million people who played tennis. There was 25 million people who played golf. And there was 25 million people who rode a horse. And that's what I said, wow, because there's a market out there. We haven't maybe set up the best model to bring people in. So if you look at hunter jumpers are growing, they have a ton of lesson barns, a ton of lesson barns. You can go any place in the United States and get a lesson on a hunter horse. And we have proven that if whatever kind of horse you start with, you're liable to, at least for a while, stay with that horse because you've gone to a barn, you've made some friends, those people all talk the same language, and so you're likely not to have enough, I was going to say guts, but that's not right, but enough individualism to step away from what you now have become comfortable with. So one of the things I challenge all of you, and especially your trainers when you go back and talk to them, is to start a lesson program. It is a very reliable income for those trainers. Many of our trainers are really dependent on taking people to shows and making that money for them, and that's been their business model. But we have proven that people are wanting to ride horses, and if we can get them to come and ride Arabian horses. Also, something we're looking at is that many of our trainers, frankly, are my age, and some of them younger, but they're starting to age out. And we haven't really had a way for our young trainers to come in. So what better way is to have them come in and start giving lessons and being able to work under a head trainer so that there's another generation of trainers to come forward. So take those thoughts with you if you would, and think about, in your own circumstances or the trainers that are in your area. I want you to be a discovery farm, I want you to be a mentor, but we need to be able to send people to a farm or barn to learn to ride. They have to have that experience, and so please do that. Patty Colbert is going to be our guest speaker, and she's wonderful. You'll love her. She's very animated, and she's a great guest speaker. But she worked very hard with the American Horse Council to start the Time to Ride. And the Time to Ride, if you don't know what that was an opportunity to earn money. What you did is you had open houses or lesson plans. Every new email address that you could collect, you got counted for that. And so Julian will go into a little bit more about the Time to Ride, and so will Patty, but it was an opportunity to showcase our horses. 11 different farms actually checked Arabians, and we had quite a few. You'll hear those stats later. Julian's also going to talk about our new magazine in her talk, and then you see Goldie over here. We're actually going to have a presentation about Goldie. This is an MDP project. They will have a 10:45 on Friday forum on that, and we'll have a short video this morning. I'll tell you a little bit more information when we get to that. I wanted to bring you up quickly. I'm probably running over my time. What are they going to do, fire me? So there's just been a lot happening, and this is my opportunity to share with you. As the sitting president of AHA, I'm also on the USEF board. They have been very busy. I was part of their strategic planning and governance committees these last couple of years. They also recognize that we need to bring people in and give them an opportunity to experience the horse. They're coming forward with a Joy of Horses. It's an advertisement. There'll be different lengths. It's a really fun, loud music, fun activity, and all it does is show people having a great time doing something with a horse. And those will be run through the television stations and those sort of places. It's very hard for people who don't have access to the country and don't have access to a friend that has a horse to actually have the horse experience anymore, or to even start to think about it. So USEF is stepping up. They're spending a great deal of money this year investing in that. The other things they are doing is they're putting up videos that will be learning, teaching videos, and we've been invited to participate on that. I'm actually going to fly out on Sunday morning and fly to Lexington and do one on the heritage of the Arabian horse, and I think we're going to do a couple others while we're there. So we'll have an Arabian presence when they open that. They're coming forward with a brand new website after the first of the year. So kind of keep tuned for that. They're trying to build value for their members. They are going to reach out to 20,000 individuals for a, quote, fan membership to USEF to belong and see what you get for your membership. One of the groups they're reaching out to is the Pony Club, and we are a prime target for that. Many of those ponies are half Arabians, even purebred Arabians, that are riding at that level. So it's an opportunity for us, again, to start reaching out and getting our market share. So USEF is stepping up in a big way to do that. What else do I need to tell you? I'm winding down, believe it or not. The other thing I'm proud to announce this year is we've been working very hard on AHA financials, and there has been some issues with AHA financials for really as long as I can remember. And there's not blame in many places, it's just a matter of sometimes there wasn't either good leadership or there wasn't good staffing that really were able to produce the kind of testimony, I guess, we get now to our financials. So currently we have an incredible financial group, and we have a great budget and finance committee, and so we know exactly to the penny where our money goes now. We also know where it comes in and where it goes out. So one of the things that I was challenged with from Lance when I came on, because Lance and Dave Corning really worked very hard on this, they looked and said, okay, we were running, when Lance came in, $2 million when you put cash and working capital to the negative. It's not a way to run a business, and it's not a way to sustain a business. You just can't do that. So Lance started out with the challenge to start building it up, and then I took his challenge, and we all worked, everybody worked to make this. So I'm really proud to say at the end of FY16, which was March 31st of 2016, we had reached the break-even level. So we had gone from 2 million in the red to break even. So it is phenomenal. And, you know, this wasn't something Cynthia Richardson did. This is what the whole association did, and all of our staff did, and the executive committee and the board. This was truly a team effort, and this doesn't just happen by happenstance. It was planned, and we really worked hard to execute that on your behalf. It's your money, you know. We are just up here to do the best part we can. So I'm pretty excited about that. It was 2 years earlier than we had expected. We've been blessed with some good years and some good weather and therefore some good nationals and that sort of thing. But it was quite an accomplishment, and we will be forever indebted. Brad Short is our controller over there, and Brad gives us figures to the penny, and he's, frankly, anal retentive, it has to balance to the penny. So I thank you, Brad. We've also been able to do that while we've invested in ourselves. So we've been investing, we obviously invested in our building. We've gone over the fact that we did the roof, we did the new HVAC, we put in new lighting, we did all that sort of stuff. And we have been investing in HA Future State, and we've been doing that without any debt. So not only have we managed to bring that cash level up, but we've managed to keep ourselves out of debt and still do that. So that's quite an accomplishment for all of us. Our motto for the last 3 years has been to connect, collaborate, and create. So we started 3 years ago with connecting amongst ourselves. We wanted people to share more of their information. We wanted the regions to help to work together. We started a regional forum last year where the regional directors just had time one-on-one with each other. I think that's been very successful. I think there's a lot more communication across our group than there ever has been before. And then we went on to collaborate, and that was to take all of these new communication skills we had and to actually put them and start working together and to move our industry forward. So I thank you for your efforts on there. And then this year was to create. And so if we can create some new places for our horses to be, some new experiences for people to join us, some opportunities to reach out there and be part of that 25 million of people who want to ride a horse, I think the Arabian horse industry will be very successful. I'm personally very proud of Team AHA. Together we can all accomplish more. I don't think that could be any more prevalent than what's been going on for the last 4 years and the upward trend of AHA. It is with my heartfelt thanks that I thank you for allowing me to be your president for 4 years. Best wishes for the future, and I'll see you there. Thank you very much. Nancy said I should sing, and it'll be a cold day before I sing. Thank you very much. I'm a little lost for words. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We appreciate the work that you do, sometimes under very difficult circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, we now recognize Pat Crutchett, our credentials supervisor, who will present our credentials report. Pat, welcome.
Good morning, delegates, guests, board members. Here we go again. Credentials was open yesterday. We were open this morning. We will be open following this session. I recognize that seating isn't ideal. We had to go by estimated numbers, and estimates are usually not quite accurate. We'll fix those after we get more of you credentialed. Also this morning, because we're still in the process, we weren't real firm about people needing delegate credentialing to be seated up here. Tomorrow, that won't be true. If you don't have a delegate badge or a director's badge that indicates that you have the right to be here, you'll have to be in the back. That being said, as of 7:30 this morning, we had credentialed 216 of a possible 381 delegates.
Pat, thank you very much for your report. I appreciate that.
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept the Credentials Committee as submitted to the convention.
Thank you, Larry. I always need you, we all know you, Larry, but everybody, just as a reminder, when you go to a microphone, please identify yourself and your region before you speak. That was Larry Shallcross, so we won't let him go incognito. Okay, is there any discussion on the motion on the floor to adopt the Credentials Committee report? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Anyone wish to abstain? Thank you very much. The motion is adopted. I'm going to take a couple minutes. Again, I have a little bit of leeway, I think, when I'm the outgoing president. I wanted to make sure that staff was introduced. And so I'd like staff to stand, and then we'll recognize everyone at once. We're going to start just right down the road. Jolene, if you would please stand. This is Jolene White. She's Jolene actually moved with IHA out from California, and she has been our employee for 39 years. And if there's ever any question, it's not the president, it's not Glenn, it is Jolene that runs the office. So treat her kindly. Leslie, if you would please stand. This is Leslie Lockhart. Leslie has been with us 30 years, and she is our Senior Director of Competitions. So thank you to Leslie. Glenn, if you would please stand. We'll clap for everybody at the end. That'll be easier. Or we won't. I've lost control already. Glenn Petty is our Executive Vice President. Glenn celebrated his 8th year as our EVP, and this is the longest we've ever had an Executive Vice President. So I'm sure it just means that Lance and I were very easy to work with. I can't see who's sitting next. You can say yes. Okay, Brad, if you would please stand. This is Brad Short. He's our controller. He's the gentleman that I explained earlier is very good with numbers. So, and then I'm sorry, I'm blocked by the things. Okay, the next person is Stan Morey. Stan obviously is our Judges and Stewards Commissioner. Stan, you're 9 years? Yes, 9 years as our Judges and Stewards Commissioner, and he has done a phenomenal job. So thank you very much, Stan. Pat Thompson. Pat, everybody knows Pat. She is the straight and narrow that keeps Stan going, so that's very, very good. Julian, if you would please stand. Julian McPeak is our Marketing Director. Julian is, if you've been to any of our events or watched any of our videos, is a very busy person and has a great deal of responsibility in marketing our horses, so thank you very much, Julian. Kelsey Berglund, if you would please stand. Glenn and I actually created a new department in AHA because there is so much work to be done, so we promoted Kelsey up to Director of National Events. So Kelsey, thank you very much for taking that position, and then she still is the coordinator for both Canada and U.S. Nationals. So Kelsey has quite a bit on her plate. I see Uriah. If Uriah would please stand. Uriah is our individual that many of you will speak to when you call and have any business that you need to do with marketing at AHA, and then he fills many positions at many of our events doing whatever needs to be done. So thank you very much, Uriah. Eddie is sitting next to him. If Eddie would please stand. This is Eddie Hook. Eddie is our marketing supervisor, and obviously she works with our commercial vendors at all of our national shows, and then the convention is her responsibility. So Eddie has been very busy this year. So thank you very much to Eddie. Did I see Jordan sitting there? Brittany. Okay, I'm sorry. It's like, this is Brittany Kaiser. Brittany just joined us. She was a youth director when she was coming up through the ranks and living in Colorado. I know she and her family very well. She just joined us, and she actually works for Kelty, so she's going to be the coordinator for youth and sport horse. I think she started 3 days or something before she left for Youth Nationals. So it was really, truly a start by fire. And so we thank you very much, Brittany, for joining us. Annie has been out running the front desk, I believe, and I don't see Annie in here right now, but you can thank her as well. She works in customer service and is Debbie's right-hand person, and so if you see her, thank her as well. DJ Fleming, I don't think DJ's here. He also is our systems administrator. He comes and sets up everything for us, and he's the go-to guy when anything doesn't work, and he's the only one that knows my password for updating my phone. So, and the couple that are missing, first of all, because we've got this big project going on in the office, Jim Lawless, our you guys can sit, but let's give him a big hand, and then we'll. So Jim Lawless is our Senior Director for Business Technology, and we kept him in the office. He's working on this big changeover, so we decided the best place for Jim would be is to stay in the office. And then I'll just touch on Debbie Fuentes a little bit. She's doing very, very well. She is our Director of Customer Service as well as our Registrar. Debbie has gone through a bout with breast cancer. She's gone through the chemo. She's gone through a double mastectomy. She's now going through a radiation, but she is still a very active member working at AHA. Debbie, you just cannot keep her down, and you cannot keep her off the phone. So many people didn't even know that Debbie was experiencing these issues. She is in a great frame of mind, and her doctors are very, very pleased with her progress. And Debbie was really crushed not to be here, so she wished me to say hi to all of her friends. And she loves and thanks you all for all of those cards that she's received. Her office is now covered, all the walls are covered with Get Well cards. So our best wishes go out to Debbie, and she will be here next year. So I'm really happy for her. Okay, now we'll get back on script. How's that? So it's back to me. So a copy of the standing rules that are to be adopted can be found in your resolution packet. They look like this, the pink copy. And Penny is, where's Penny? To my right. Sorry, I just can't see over that. Penny, would you please join us?
Good morning. Everybody has their copy of the standing rules. Madam Chairman, I move we adopt the standing rules of the 2016 convention.
Thank you very much, Penny. If there is no objection, the standing rules of the convention will not be read. Okay, good. The motion is on the adoption of the standing rules of convention. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the standing rules, please stand.
Between these two, it's really tough.
Wah. Thank you very much. We needed a 2/3 majority vote, and that was obtained, so you may sit, and anyone opposed, they may stand. All righty, the motion is adopted, and so you have just adopted the standing rules of convention as amended, if you saw on the thing, so we will go forward to the 14th annual convention. Thank you very much. The ratification of the EBR charter. This was in your packet as well, and this is your green form. What this is we wanted to make sure that AHA was not in any way discriminating against anyone. So we passed this at the board, and the rules of AHA say that when we make a change to EPRB, it must be ratified by the convention floor. So I think that turns it back over to Penny.
Resolved that the action to amend Ethics 101.3 taken by the AHA Board of Directors be ratified and included in the next issue of the AHA Handbook. Madam Chairman, I move to adopt the ratification.
Thank you very much. Question on the table concerns the ratification of the, they got it spelled wrong, EPRB chapter. All those in favor of adopting the EPRB chapter, please say yes. Yes.
Madam Chairman.
Hi.
Good morning. I'm Larry Shawcross from Region 9. Madam Chairman, I'm a little concerned about this particular document as currently written. And I believe that the emboldened section there may well be sort of a non sequitur. I also wonder if this is not a policy statement as opposed to an ethical appropriately placed. So I would move that we have an opportunity to perhaps reconsider this or where it is in the handbook. And I would move that we postpone the vote until Friday.
Do I have a second for Larry's motion to postpone? You need to stand up and say that, sir.
Madam President.
And tell us who you are. Bill Fairchild from Region 12 is our second. All those in favor of postponing this till Friday, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. I think the yeas get it. So it is going to be postponed until Friday. Larry, if you would please get with staff and with the appropriate individuals, please.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Thank you. All right. We're now moving on, if I'm correct, to the agenda. No? Okay. So Penny, this actually says it was still yours.
I'm still here.
Okay, good.
Madam Chairman, I move we adopt the agenda of the 2016 convention.
Thank you very much. That's found on pages 11, 12, and 13 in your little booklet that you all have. So the question on the table concerns the adoption of the general session agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the general session agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Any abstention? Motion is adopted. Thank you, Penny. Okay, I need to appoint the convention minutes approval committee, and my duties, that's a duty of the president, so I have appointed Penny Wardlaw as chair, Deborah Johnson as vice chair, and Charles Bass. And then next we're going to the MDP. We have a short actual film about our golden horse, but I wanted to explain a little bit about him. This is an Arabian Horses for Humanity. It's an MDP project, and any money that is made off this project goes to MDP for future promotion and market development, and the money was provided to start this project by AHA and the Purebred Arabian Trust. So thank you to both groups. The purpose of this project is to bring awareness of the Arabian horse throughout North America. And obviously, when you have this big, beautiful example, the sculpture, it was done by Karen Casper. She's a well-renowned sculptor in the Arabian business, and so Karen really helped us a great deal with this. This gentleman over here is called Goldie. He was actually made to commemorate the 50th anniversary for the U.S. Nationals. It also, the second purpose is to provide an opportunity to interact with our communities where we live. And as you understand how this program will work, you understand a little bit more about why we're interacting with our communities. And then to support a variety of charities throughout the fundraising efforts associated with the humanity of the horse. So it's really important. You'll watch this little blurb that we have for you, and then go to the 10:45, I believe it is, forum tomorrow and find out more about this. And there'll be some information coming around tonight to your regional caucuses. So are they ready to play? you very much. Would the members of the MDP please stand up so that, because we've said on here that if you had questions to ask these people. And also, you will see a flyer that was put at everybody's chairs when you came in. So please attend the forum, and thanks to these guys for truly thinking out of the box. Just as a footnote, I learned in Europe that a box is really a stall, so now we can say we truly thought out of the stall. So.
Thank you, Madam President.